We're not chasing highlights. We're listening to them breathe. We'll drift through the strangest stat lines in NBA history, nights where box scores bent logic, where role players became legends, and where numbers turned into little stories hidden between rebounds, fouls, and points. Settle in. Let the game move slow, and let the stats tell their secrets. And we start with a performance that didn't explode. It gathered, piece by piece. 1. Wilt Chamberlain, 55 rebounds. Nov, 24, 1960. Philadelphia Warriors at Boston in late November. The Garden's air already wintry. It is Wilt Chamberlain's second season, and his job is simple to describe and hard to deny. End every miss with 2 calm hands. 55 rebounds. Still the record. Arrive without hurry. One carom folding into the next like a tide pulled by a quiet moon. The rims feel unforgiving. Shots bend toward him as if persuaded. Boston leans, crowds, swipes. He turns, lifts, and sends a chest-high outlet back into motion. The night is patient, a metronome under the glass. There are louder days in his legend, but few so even, so certain. When the horn comes, the number stands alone, an island of its own. Coats are buttoned, aisles empty, and he walks the tunnel as if the game has softened rather than ended. The world settles back into silence. 2. Bill Russell, 30 points, 40 rebounds. Spring, 1962. Boston versus Los Angeles in spring, a series that seems to hum even in warm-ups. Bill Russell's Celtics are in their rhythm, defense flowing into offense, possession into poise. His role needs no speech. Guard the lane, begin the break. 30 points find him on putbacks and gentle hooks. 40 rebounds cool the room with each soft catch. Baylor floats, West slices, and Russell answers with angles rather than force. Outlet passes are letters sent in a neat hand. By night's end, boards and points feel like duty rather than chase. Nothing boasts. A craftsman's evening closes like a lamp switched off. Only the leather's echo lingers. 3. Oscar Robertson, 33 points, 22 rebounds, 12 assists. Jan 13, 1962. A winter stop in Detroit for Cincinnati, the Big O composing another page of his masterpiece year. Oscar Robertson plays point guard as full orchestra, setting tempo, filling the bass, carrying the melody. 33 points arrive where they're needed. 12 assists appear the instant a cutter turns his head. The strangeness sits in the middle. 22 rebounds gathered in traffic by a guard who seems to own the glass. Defensive boards start the breaks. Offensive ones are kept with a small shoulder turn. The ledger at the end is tidy. Points, rebounds, passes in their places. No noise, only order. The bus idles outside. City lights smear across the window. When a game fits this neatly, sleep comes easily. 4. Jerry West, 63 points, 12 rebounds. Jan 17, 1962. Mid-January in Los Angeles, the Knicks visiting, and Jerry West's release is quiet, wrist, arc, net. The season is building the composure that will someday be called the logo. His role is a compass. Curl, square, decide. 60-plus points in a world without threes arrive through footwork and glass-soft jumpers, with patient free throws threading the pauses. A taller wing tries, then a quicker one. Each assignment becomes geometry solved in the mid-range. 12 rebounds fall to him as the floor tilts forward, and each one becomes the next measured advance. The number climbs without heat, only warmth and repetition. At the horn, he doesn't celebrate. He nods to the bench and tightens his laces. The floor is swept, the lights dim, and the night folds into a gentle hush. 5. Wilt Chamberlain, 100 points. Mar into 2, 1962. Hershey, Pennsylvania, the ceiling low and the crowd close. New York against Philadelphia in the year of 50 a night, and Wilt Chamberlain is inevitability itself. Catch, turn, rise, again and again. Teammates lean toward the idea without saying it. Early hooks and lay-ins become a rhythm, with free throws keeping time. New York fronts, leans, swarms. The tempo never changes. 90 feels like a last hill, then a plateau. 100 is not shouted, it is exhaled. The ball is lifted carefully, as if fragile. People drift the aisles with small smiles. The scorebook shuts. The bus doors close with a gentle hiss, and the road through the Pennsylvania dark feels very quiet. 6. Elgin Baylor, 61 points, 22 rebounds, finals. Apier, 14, 1962, finals, Game 5 in Boston. The series is close and drawn in charcoal, fatigue, travel, small adjustments. Elgin Baylor's role is to choose a better angle while suspended in air, and then land where the play needs him. 61 points, still the most in a finals game, arrive with 22 rebounds, gathered in second breaths. The Celtics are sturdy and unshaken, yet the knight keeps bending toward his touch. Teammates clear without being told, knowing the rhythm he keeps. Near closing time, the record is understood rather than announced. Two numbers sit together like friends on a bench. Brooms whisper across parquet. The crowd's murmur thins to a memory. Down a long corridor, the game lingers like a lullaby. 7. Bill Russell, 25 points, 32 rebounds, 8 assists. Feb. 10, 1967. At the Garden in February, Boston against San Francisco, the first year of Russell's coaching era. He arranges tempo like furniture. Screen, seal, outlet, repeat. 25 points arrive without strain. 32 rebounds gather themselves into his hands. 8 assists are quiet agreements. Back cuts noticed, timing rewarded. Warriors' shots rise and fall into his reach. He directs with a fingertip. Go, I'll hold. When the lane opens, he strides and lays the ball softly from the square. The clock doesn't race. It paces itself as he does. 25, 32, 8. A carpenter's trio. In the hallway afterward, shoes on concrete, a distant door, a knight that stands a little taller. 8. Wilt Chamberlain, 22 points, 25 rebounds, 21 assists. Winter 1967-68, a winter showcase in Philadelphia, Detroit, and town, and the Sixers defending a title by finding new balances. Wilt Chamberlain moves to the high post and becomes a hub. He waits half a beat, then sends a cutter into daylight. Misses drop like fruit. Points arrive as tips, hooks, small lay-ins off glass. The oddity is symmetry. 20s across, 22 points, 25 rebounds, 21 assists. Numbers a center isn't supposed to share with guards. The game stays composed, pressure honest on both sides. When the ledger is tallied, the columns look even. Outside, the air is cold and clean. Inside, the court is bare again, the painted lines newly straightened. 9. Jerry Lucas, 40 points, 21 rebounds, Jan. 16, 1968. Along the river in mid-January, San Francisco visiting Cincinnati. Jerry Lucas does tidy work. He plants his feet, boxes out with a practiced hip, and keeps his hands high. The shot is modest and exact. Square the shoulders, show the ball to the board, listen for the soft kiss. 40 points arrange themselves beside 21 rebounds, not in a rush, but in careful layers. Teammates find comfort in the predictability. Spacing breathes a little easier. When the total settles, it feels like a promise kept rather than a fire lit. Outside, the air is cold and smells faintly of water. Inside, lights click off row by row, and the arcs and rectangles rest. 10. Jerry West, 53 points, 10 assists, 14-14 FT, 1968-69 season. Los Angeles hosting Boston again, a meeting that always sounds like spring. This is the year Jerry West will be named Finals MVP from the losing side, a proof of steady brilliance. His role tonight is a metronome: shot, stop, pass, repeat. 53 points sit alongside 10 assists, with 14 of 14 at the line, all done without a three-point arc. He threads early passes to settle the room, then lifts into a pull-up that seems to hang one heartbeat longer. The defense shades him into help. He walks the contour and finds the open man. Free throws collect like pearls, each set by the same measured breath. By the end, the total feels inevitable and gentle. The arena empties slowly. Somewhere in an auxiliary gym, a ball bounces once and stops. He ties his bag and steps into the night. Another page turns softly. The lights dim to a hush, and the floor remembers the echo of leather and breath. We leave the early 60s with numbers that feel handwritten, ink still drying, arcs traced without a three-point line. Now let's step softly into seasons that stretch a little taller, where defense sharpens and new hands learn old crafts. The game will change its angles, but the quiet work will remain. 11. Artis Gilmore, 35 PTS, 33 REB, Feb. 3, 1973. Kentucky Colonels versus New York Nets, a winter ABA meeting where the paint felt close and quiet. The season had settled into its long middle when travel, blurs and habits hardened, and the Colonels leaned on the calm gravity of their center. Gilmore's role was simple and complete. Anchor the rim, secure the miss, take what the defense offered on the catch. 35 points arrived without hurry. Short hooks, soft bank shots, quiet putbacks. The rebounds were steadier still, a tide returning to the same shore. On some nights, the ball seems drawn to one set of hands. On this one, it kept landing in his. 33 boards and a Bruiser's 30-30 spoke less of force than of placement, timing, and a body that never wavered. Teammates ran because they knew he would end the possession. Opponents adjusted, then adjusted again, and the pattern held. Gather, outlet, jog to the other end. When it was over, the box score looked heavy, but the memory felt light, just a big man working in a quiet circle beneath the rim. The building emptied in the cold, and the floor crew rolled the baskets away. Another night filed where echoes linger and the paint keeps its secrets. 12. Elmore Smith, 12 PTS, 16 REB, 17 BLK, OCT 28, 1973. Los Angeles Lakers versus Portland Trail Blazers, opening days of the season when legs are fresh and timing still sharp. Smith's assignment was to be the back line, no speeches, only refusals. The Lakers were shifting into a new era, and a gentle certainty settled over the half court whenever he took root. 17 blocks came without flourish, a palm held high, a fingertip nudge, a ball redirected into quiet. Misses he didn't swat, he collected. 16 rebounds that ended plays as softly as turning a page. The points, a dozen of them, were careful touches off glass and simple finishes. What made the line peculiar was not its size, but its shape. A record number of denials pressed alongside modest scoring, as if the game had asked him a single question, and he kept answering the same way. When the horn sounded, he didn't look larger. He looked perfectly placed, a tall note held in the same key all night. The crowd murmured about the total while the floor was swept clean. A door clicked somewhere down the hall, and the noise of the day settled to stillness. 13. Rick Barry, 30 PTS, 10 REB, 10 AST, 9 steals, Mar 26, 1974. Golden State Warriors versus a late-season Western foe, with standings tightening and patience required. Barry's role was to keep the team's spine straight. Shoot when the possession sagged, pass when it breathed, dig a hand into the dribble when it drifted too close. 30 points landed in even rhythms. Pull-ups at the elbow, drives finished with a quiet lay-in, those steady free throws that felt inevitable. 10 rebounds were gathered in traffic with a veteran's angles. 10 assists found cutters at the right second. The strangeness rested near the margins. 9 steals, one shy of a steals-based quadruple-double, all swiped more by anticipation than by speed. He moved as if reading a script he'd once written, catching the pass in the instant, before it formed. The Warriors broke into the open floor again and again, not with a rush, but with a steady trot. When it ended, the line formed a near square, each corner full. Barry exhaled, taped fingers loosening, and the gym hummed its low end-of-night tune. Another page of the season turned over in silence. 14. Nate Thurmond, 22 PTS, 14 REB, 13 AST, 12 BLK, Oct. 18, 1974. Chicago Bulls versus Atlanta Hawks on opening night, a clean sheet waiting to be marked. Thurmond, newly arrived, was asked to be a hinge, swinging between defense and offense, high post and low, old team and new. The game opened with a measured tempo, screens that landed like soft knocks, cuts that completed their arcs. Thurmond found the pass first, a dozen and one more of them, many from the elbow to a cutter darting behind. Blocks came as gentle refusals, palms guiding shots away from glass, then hands reclaiming the rebound. Points arrived unforced, slips to the rim, a bank from 10 feet, a putback layered onto the rest. The numbers drifted toward their shape without announcement. 12 blocks, 13 assists, 14 rebounds, and 22 points. A first recorded quadruple-double, remarkable for how calm it felt. Teammates met him at half court with the small smiles of a group that knows it has a center in more than one sense. The lights cooled. The night air in the corridor was thin and steady. A new season had begun with order. 15. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 29 PTS, 22 REB, 14 AST, 12 BLK, MAR 18, 1975, unofficial. Milwaukee Bucks versus an Eastern visitor. Late in the year when aches settle but instincts stay clear. Kareem's role was the hinge of a different sort. Catch in the post, see the floor, and let the possession unfold. The skyhook drew its soft arc, then another, each one the same measured breath. Rebounds gathered in twos and threes. Outlets found guards at the sideline with a flick of the wrists. The passes were the quiet surprise. 14 of them, slipped to cutters and spotted shooters, the ball leaving his hands as if it wanted to go. Blocks came last, not swats, but redirections. A dozen small edits to the night's attempts. The record book would not hold this one firmly. The line lives in stories and notebooks, relayed by those who were there. Perhaps that suits it. The numbers feel like a memory anyway. Rounded edges, soft light, a tall figure moving through space without hurry. When the evening closed, he untied the laces with the same care he tied them, and the arena eased back into stillness. 16. Bob McAdoo, 52 PTS, 22 REB, Jan 9, 1976. Buffalo Braves versus a winter opponent on a floor that sounded faint and wooden underfoot. The season's middle had arrived, and Buffalo leaned on a scoring center who played like a guard. McAdoo's role was to rise into open air and make choices there. Face-ups from the elbow, high arcs from the baseline, quick steps for a lay-in before the help could form. 52 points didn't pour. They accumulated, possession by possession, a quiet climbing of rungs. 22 rebounds were the answer to misses he often created at the other end. He pivoted, cleared space with his hips, and lifted the ball into safe hands. What felt peculiar was the blend. Guard-like volume married to a center's glasswork, a tall player moving lightly through dense traffic. The building noticed without noise, a soft murmur near the end as teammates looked up at the board and then back at him. Buffalo won by leaning, not pushing. When the game was done, the basket stanchions were folded and rolled away, and the night outside had the hush of snow. 17. Larry Kinnan, 29 PTS, 15 REB, 11 steals, Deck 26, 1976. San Antonio Spurs versus Kansas City Kings on the far side of the holiday, when gyms feel spare and clear. Kinnan's assignment was elastic. Score when the rhythm slowed, rebound in traffic, and place a hand in passing lanes that seemed out of reach. The points sat on level ground. Mid-range jumpers lined up neatly, breakaway finishes folded in, a putback or two for balance. 15 rebounds punctuated defensive stops with clean possession. The oddity gleamed quietly at the edge. 11 steals for a forward, each one a small, precise interruption. He didn't leap at the ball so much as step into its path. Teammates grew used to the sudden turn, the floor flipping, the run beginning. The box score later would tilt toward those steals, but the memory keeps the night even. 3 columns speaking to the same calm energy. After the horn, towels draped shoulders like winter scarves. The court emptied in an orderly way, and the quiet returned to its usual home in the rafters. 18. Pete Maravich, 68 PTS, Feb 25, 1977. New Orleans Jazz versus New York Knicks, a southern evening with a patient crowd and a soft buzz. The season had run hot and cold, and the Jazz still asked their artist to paint the way forward. Maravich's role, always, was to make space where there was none, and to fill that space with touch. 68 points came without a three-point line, each basket a little invention. Floaters off 1 foot, leaning jumpers kissed from angles that seemed too narrow, layups threaded through late help. The ball felt feather light in his hands, and yet the game slowed around him. Free throws marked the rhythm, steady and even. Teammates spaced wide and watched with the same quiet as the stands. What makes it strange, years later, is not the size of the number, but its texture. Handmade, unhurried, old-world craft. When it ended, he placed the towel over his head and exhaled, the noise of the night dimming to a low hum. The city outside was damp and warm. The floor inside was still. 19. David Thompson. 73 PTS. Elapir 9, 1978. Denver Nuggets at Detroit Pistons. Final day of the regular season. The standings and scoring race breathing together. Thompson's task was simple to name and difficult to hold. Score until the air ran out. He moved like a quiet flame, straight up, straight down, landing softly. Early jumpers settled. Lay-ins opened. Free throws kept time. As the number climbed, defenders changed and changed again, and he adjusted only by degree. There was no rush in his steps. 73 points, the chase completed. Felt less like a pursuit than a steady walk to the crest of a hill. Teammates found him without talk. The Pistons played honestly, and he met them with clean lines. When the horn sounded, he did not stand on anything. He simply breathed. The locker room held a low, grateful silence, as if everyone knew the day had asked for something rare and had been answered gently. 20. George Gervin. 63 PTS. 33 in second quarter. Apir 9, 1978. San Antonio Spurs at New Orleans Jazz. Evening of the same day. The scoring title turning quietly in place. Gervin's role was to let the game come to him, and then, without strain, to meet it at the rim of the net. 33 points in one quarter arrived like a soft rain. One pull-up after another. Catches finished before the defense could breathe. The jump shot seemed to float and decide in the air, as if it chose the basket for itself. Teammates understood the rhythm and fed it. The Jazz contested and stayed within their principles, and still the points arranged themselves in tidy rows. 63 by the end, the race settled by the same touch that made ordinary nights feel elegant. Nothing of the evening shouted. It drifted into the books like a late postcard. Postmarked, dated, quietly remarkable. The tunnel felt long and cool as he walked back through it. Somewhere behind him, a lone ball bounced once and stopped. The day and the scoring crown came to rest. Two scorers close a day like bookends, and the net finally rests. Beyond this door, the 1970s loosen their collar. Pace sliding, rolls widening, the paint still crowded. We'll follow the game as it learns to pass through more hands, to deny with longer arms, to collect order from chaos. Breathe in. The next 10 move like a slow tide. 21. George Gervin. 63 points. APR 9. 1978. San Antonio at New Orleans on the last day, the schedule closing its book with a soft final page. The season context is a quiet duel for the scoring crown. Two great nights separated by hours, each player listening for the other's echo. Gervin's role is to be himself without strain, the wing who never hurries, who catches, rises, and lets the ball choose the net. The peculiarity is a quarter that feels like a gentle rain. 33 points in the second. Arriving not with force, but with balance. He floats to the elbow, slides to the baseline, leans a fraction, and the jumper hangs as if deciding. Teammates need only place the ball in his hands. The rest is angles and breath. Misses are rare, and even those seem to land softly. By night's end, 63 points have arranged themselves in orderly rows. Nothing explodes, nothing shouts. The floor crew begins its slow circuit. With brooms, he walks toward the tunnel with the same measured stride he used to leave defenders behind. A crown rests where touch and patience meet, and the gym returns to quiet. 22. Michael Ray Richardson, 18 PTS, 13 REB, 17 AST, 9 steals. Jan. 24, 1981. Midwinter basketball, New York in the grind of road and return. The season has found its rhythm, and his role is to conduct it. Point guard as organizer of breath. He guides tempo with a hand at the hip, brings a wing through a curl, then bends a pass into a small window as if it had always been there. The peculiarity is how the line gathers. Rebounds claimed in traffic by a guard, steals made with the light touch of anticipation, passes placed at just the right height. 18 points arrive like punctuation, not the sentence. 9 steals sit one shy of a rare shape, the near quadruple double that hints at a game played in every corner. Teammates seem to move more easily when he does. Spacing appears where there was none. The horn ends a tidy effort, and the box score reads like careful handwriting. The bus hums outside. Winter breath fogs in the air as the night exhales. Everything has been put back in order. 23. Mark Eaton, 12 PTS, 20 REB, 14 BLK, Jan. 18, 1985. A clear January night in Salt Lake City, the building bright and spare. The season's long middle emphasizes chores, and his role is to finish them. Set the screen, shade the paint, lift a hand that closes space. The peculiarity is vertical silence, 14 blocks that do not slap so much as redirect. The ball leaves the shooter's hand and simply changes its mind. Misses drop into his arms. He places outlets like notes on a staff. Points come in small parcels, short hooks, putbacks that arrive like acknowledgments. What remains is the feeling that no possession ends until he allows it to end. 20 rebounds confirm it, a steadying rhythm that cools the floor. The scoreboard does not rush, it waits. When it is over, the court looks a little wider, the lanes a little clearer, as if air has been returned to the room. He walks off without a gesture. The night folds itself and grows still. 24. Kevin McHale, 56 points, 22-28 FG, Mar 3, 1985. Early March in Boston, the season turning toward its sharper edge. His role is to be the elegant solution on the left block. Shoulder fake, step through, and a shot that slips off the glass like a well-kept secret. The peculiarity is the near-perfect touch. 22 makes in 28 tries, as if the rim were gently tilted his way. The ball enters, pauses, and falls. The rhythm is unhurried. Post, repost, catch, and a move that looks inevitable once it's begun. Teammates carry themselves lighter when a possession starts there. The court breathes. The number climbs without strain until it rests at 56, a record for the franchise that feels handwritten in pencil. When the night quiets, parquet lines glow a soft amber. Jackets are pulled on, the doors open to cold air, and the record settles into a short stay in the glass case of memory. It will be borrowed soon, but for now it sits, warm and calm. 25. Larry Bird, 60 points. Mar, 12, 1985. A neutral court in the South, Boston as the designated home, a crowd leaning toward the extraordinary without raising its voice. The season context is simple, a contender polishing its habits. His role is to trim the edges, catch, square, and let the ball travel with a patient arc. The peculiarity is not the size of the number, but its ease. 60 points arrive like a steady tide, threes and long twos and free throws strung together by footwork. He drifts to open space before it looks open. Teammates lift their eyes and find him, the pass already begun. Shots land with the sound of paper turned. The bench starts to smile in small, careful ways. When it is done, the line stands next to the one from 9 days earlier and gently surpasses it, as if two tall figures had paused in a doorway and exchanged nods. The building empties, and the night outside is soft. Somewhere a ball bounces once and is put away. 26. Alvin Robertson, 45 MIN, 10 steals, Jan 18, 1986. A January schedule with its modest hotels and careful meals. The team leans on a guard who listens to passing lanes more than he sees them. His role is to ask the same quiet question on every catch. May I have that? The peculiarity is 10 steals spread across 45 minutes, not lunges, but anticipations. Half steps into the future that turn into deflections, that turn into changes of possession. He scores when needed, rebounds because the play requires it, and stitches the night together with defense. Teammates look a little taller when the floor flips so cleanly. The bench exhales. The horn sounds and the number sits in its column, tidy and spare. Outside, the air is cool and untroubled. Inside, the court grows still, as if the noise of the game had been quietly archived. 27. Larry Bird, 47 points, mostly left-handed, Feb 14, 1986. A winter trip, an overtime game that feels unhurried even as minutes climb. The season context is a confident team experimenting within its own discipline. His role this night is an unusual exercise. Finish with the other hand, to feel the geometry from a different angle. The peculiarity is in the choice and the calm. 47 points, most of them set free by a left-handed touch that looks both new and familiar. He posts and pivots into soft hooks, flips lay-ins from odd windows, and sends the ball to the net as if drawing with his offhand. Teammates smile in brief, private ways. The bench leans forward to watch the shape of the evening. When the game finally settles, the line is part experiment, part lesson in craft. He wraps a towel around his shoulders. The walk to the bus is cool and quiet. A small joke is told and then set aside. The night holds its breath, then releases it. 28. Alvin Robertson, 20 PTS, 11 REB, 10 AST, 10 steals, Feb 18, 1986. A February home date in San Antonio, the season tightening its belt. His role is complete, to be the turn of the key on both ends. Points step in where the floor splits. Rebounds arrive because guards who see everything also find the ball. Assists appear as lanes part. Steals are the measure of timing. 10 of them, a number that gathers the others into a first-row seat. The peculiarity is the shape itself, a quadruple double built from defense, as if the game could be opened from the back and rearranged. Teammates run lighter when possession changes hands without warning. The crowd sound stays level, more hum than shout. At the end, the box score looks square and calm, a frame holding the night's balance. He nods to the scorer's table and disappears into the tunnel. The echoes dim and the floor returns to wood. 29. Manute Bol, 4 PTS, 15 REB, 15 BLK, Mar, 3, 1986. A cool arena, highlights, and a center who seems to touch the air above the game. The season is in its steady march. His role is to shorten the court for shooters and to make the rim seem farther away than it is. The peculiarity is a twin column of 15s, rebounds and blocks, built without the need for scoring. The ball rises and is sent back, not angrily, but firmly, like a polite refusal. Misses are secured, placed carefully into the next possession. Points arrive only when required, small notes in a score that is mostly rests. Teammates adjust their spacing because the other team must adjust its ideas. The sound of the game changes. Jumpers feel hesitant. When the night is done, the scoreboard has moved slowly, and the stat sheet holds its quiet surprise. He lifts a hand to the crowd and lowers it again. The building is still. 30. Michael Jordan, 63 points, OT. APR 20, 1986. Boston in spring, the building green and certain. The season context is a young scorer again in motion after injury, meeting the league's steadiest team in a series that tests poise more than noise. His role is to create a path where there is none and to walk it, one balanced step at a time. The peculiarity is how the number grows in a place not given to generosity. 63 points, arranged across regulation and overtime, against a defense that rarely loses its angles. He rises from mid-range, leans to glass, glides under arms that reach too late, and returns to the line with a measured breath. Teammates find him because the game asks them to. The crowd acknowledges even as it resists. When it is over, the floor has not changed its posture, but the memory has taken root. He lowers his head, ties the bag, and steps into the corridor where the sound is cool and faint. A record rests where effort meets patience, and night settles gently over the city. We've watched wings float, guards steal, and centers draw lines the size of eras. The room cools. Ahead wait nights of balance, assists stacked beside blocks, patience beside power. Let's drift forward into box scores that look like diagrams, corners filled, edges neat, and the ball speaking a little more softly with each pass. 31. Clyde Drexler, 33 PTS, 8 REB, 8 AST, 8 steals, Nov. 1, 1986. Portland Trailblazers at Memorial Coliseum against a familiar Western visitor on a cool November night. The season is new enough to feel open, with roles still settling and rhythms just beginning to breathe. Drexler's task is to steady the edges, glide in transition, find shooters in the corners, and fold himself into every seam on defense. The peculiarity is the tidy symmetry, 8 in 4 columns, points, rebounds, assists, and steals, gathered with the same unhurried touch. He lifts for a mid-range jumper, then is suddenly the passer on the next trip, and moments later the hand in the passing lane that turns the floor around. Teammates move with quiet confidence when the ball finds him. He seems to arrive a half step early to each small decision the game requires. The numbers grow without announcement, just a gradual balancing of the page. When the horn finally rests, the 8888 line feels like a soft square drawn around the night. He nods to the crowd, and the building exhales into stillness. 32. Manute Bol, 18 BLK, Dec, 1986. Washington Bullets facing a winter opponent under high lights and clear air. The season is in its measured middle, when routines carry teams from city to city, and the game's small chores decide evenings. Bol's role is simple and singular. Make the rim feel far away. The peculiarity is the count itself. 18 shots turned aside, not with violence, but with a quiet hand that asks the ball to choose another path. He does not chase. He waits, tall and patient, and lets the attempt arrive on his terms. Each fingertip touch removes a chance and returns possession to calm hands. Scoring is a whisper, a lay-in here or there, but the geometry belongs to him. Teammates space differently because they know the other team must revise its plans. The sound of the game changes. Jumpers hesitate mid-air. By night's end, the stat sheet holds a column that looks out of place and yet fits perfectly with the way the floor has felt. Cool, protected, and narrow. He raises a palm and thanks, and the arena falls quiet again. 33. Charles Barkley, 41 PTS, 22 REB, 5 steals. Dec. 7, 1986. Philadelphia 76ers in a winter test against a rugged Eastern foe. The season is drawing its first true lines, and his role is to tilt the floor by sheer presence, 6'6", and relentless at the glass. The peculiarity is the blend, a 40-20 night from a forward, stitched with 5 steals that arrive like careful edits to the other team's script. He wedges space under the rim with a practiced hip, gathers the rebound as if rearranging furniture, and starts the rush with a short, quick outlet. Points stack in patient layers, putbacks, free throws, short jumpers from the nail. On defense, his hands are busy but never frantic, swiping just as a pass loosens, from the fingertips. Teammates run in steady lanes, because he has already decided where the next touch should go. When the game settles into its final minutes, the night feels full without being loud. The numbers quietly take their places. The arena dims to a softer light, and winter air waits beyond the doors. 34. Hakeem Olajuwon, 38 PTS, 17 REB, 12 BLK, 7 steals, Mar 10, 1987. Houston Rockets hosting under a roof that carries sound like a slow drum. The season has worn smooth in the middle, and his role is to be the hinge. Defense to offense, post to elbow, calm to surge. The peculiarity is the near five-corner shape. Points, rebounds, blocks, and steals, filling nearly every space at once. He moves with the quiet certainty of someone who knows the next step before the floor gives it. Blocks are not swats so much as redirections, palms guiding the ball toward safety. Steals arrive when guards think they are alone. On offense, the turn over the left shoulder is unhurried, the release high and soft. The baseline spin appears and disappears like a tide. Teammates grow lighter when he secures the miss, one long stride, then an outlet, then the court opening in front of them. When it ends, the box score looks like a carefully drawn diagram of balance. He nods once, and the night folds itself neatly away. 35. Sleepy Floyd. 51 PTS. 39 in second half. 29 in 4Q. May 10th, 1987. Golden State Warriors at home. Spring air running through a restless series. The season context is a test of patience against a polished opponent, and his role is to keep the thread from breaking. The peculiarity lies in time itself. Points arranged in a late cascade, 39 after halftime, 29 in the last quarter. The game reorganized by a calm hand. He does not rush. He rises at the elbow and listens for the net. He drives and finishes before the help fully forms. Then he does it again and again, each possession another small stitch. Teammates begin to believe in the quiet climb, finding him a half beat sooner, setting the screen a little deeper. The quarter becomes a room with one voice in it. When the horn arrives, the noise is gentle rather than loud, as if the moment had learned to speak softly. The crowd lingers. The court breathes. Night settles in a steady way. 36. Michael Jordan, 52 PTS, 9 REB, 9 AST, 4 steals, 2 BLK, Jan 29, 1988. Chicago Bulls meeting an Eastern challenger on a crisp winter evening. The season is sharpening, and his role is nearly complete. Creator, finisher, and keeper of pace. The peculiarity is the spread, the points set high, the rebounds tucked in traffic, the passes on time, and the steals and blocks braided through it all. He moves with measured steps, gliding to the elbow, curling into space, choosing glass when angles tighten. Teammates feel the floor simplify when the ball leaves his hand. On defense, a hand appears where a lane once was, and then the floor flips. The scoring is steady rather than sudden, a calm ascent. By the end, the near triple-double sits next to the quiet thefts and denials, and the whole thing reads like a full sentence with gentle commas. The building hums low. He wraps a towel around his shoulders, and the hallway carries only a soft echo. 37. Michael Jordan, 52 PTS, 9 REB, 9 AST, Jan 29, 1988. Same night, same opponent, the record reflecting the core of the performance without the brushstrokes around it. The season context does not change, a team learning to lean into its star's poise. His role centers the evening again, steady creation, unhurried finishing, and a patience that keeps the room cool. The peculiarity remains the balance, near triple-double numbers built from careful decisions rather than heat. He pauses at the nail, waits for a cutter's foot to turn, and places the pass at the chest. He lifts from 15 and listens for the soft answer from the rim. The score climbs in small, even steps. Teammates read the map more clearly with each trip. In the last minutes, the night feels complete without fanfare. Points enough, rebounds earned, passes set right. The horn closes gently, and the corridor air is still. 38. Hakeem Olajuwon, 29 PTS, 18 REB, 11 BLK, 9 AST, 5 steals. Dec 1, 1989. Houston at home as the calendar turns toward winter. The season has entered its patient phase, and his role is to be everywhere and yet never hurried. The peculiarity is the nearness to a five-way feat. Points and rebounds in their sturdy places, 11 blocks arranged like careful boundaries, 9 assists threaded through, and 5 steals as quiet interruptions. He corrals a miss and, without speaking, starts the floor moving. From the post, he waits for a cutter to brush the paint and then sends the ball to meet him. On defense, he closes a corner that seemed open and lifts a hand that erases. The night draws itself like a blueprint. Lines straight, angles true. When it is over, the page looks full but tidy. He nods once to the bench and disappears into the soft buzz of the tunnel. 39. Patrick Ewing. 36 PTS, 15 REB, 7 BLK, 5 AST. Dec 1, 1989. New York Knicks in a measured December game at the Garden. The crowd bundled and familiar. The season is finding its steady gait, and his role is to hold the center. Screen set firmly, mid-range touch true, and defense anchored by length and timing. The peculiarity is how evenly the columns grow. Scoring from the elbow and low block. Rebounds collected with 2 strong hands. 7 blocks laid gently across the lane, and 5 assists slipped to cutters who trust his eyes. He catches, turns, and chooses. Jumper, pass, or step-through finish. Teammates square with confidence when the ball enters his hands. Everything feels aligned. Possession by possession, the game cools into a comfortable shape. By the final moments, the stat line looks like a quiet confirmation of duty done well. The lights soften. The noise thins. The night holds steady outside the doors. 40. Michael Jordan. 69 PTS, 18 REB, Mayor, 28, 1990. Cleveland on a late March evening. The air dense with a long season's wait. The context is rivalry tempered by respect, and his role is to carry the load without rushing. The peculiarity is the pairing. A near 70 Knight joined to 18 rebounds, a guard playing taller than the moment. He moves patiently into spaces that open and close like small doors. Pull-ups at the elbow, drives finished at full stretch, trips to the line shaped by quiet balance. Misses at the other end fall into his hands, and the floor turns gently back the other way. Teammates give him the room he needs. He answers by giving the game the shape it lacks. As the number climbs, the building sound becomes low and even. When it is done, the scoreboard looks heavy, but the memory feels calm. A long, steady climb rather than a sprint. He bows his head, ties his bag, and walks into a corridor that smells faintly of dust and effort. The night closes its eyes. A ledger closes on symmetry and stubborn will. Now the 90s begin to tighten their laces. Defenses compact, spacing tentative, every possession weighed. We'll walk into quieter gyms where rebounds feel heavier and points must earn their place. The numbers won't shout. They'll settle. 41. Hakeem Olajuwon. 18 PTS, 16 REB, 10 AST, 11 BLK, MAR, 29, 1990. Houston Rockets versus Milwaukee Bucks on a late March night, the season leaning toward its careful finish. The context is steady. Houston shaping itself around its center, possessions beginning and ending in his hands. His role is complete and unhurried. Post touch as invitation, rebound as promise, outlet as signal. The peculiarity is the shape of the evening, a blocks-based quadruple double, each denial more redirect than swat, each assist offered from the high post like a quiet suggestion. Points arrive by turns, a soft hook, a short bank, a second chance lay-in, never rushed. 16 rebounds fold the floor back into order, and 10 passes unspool cutters into easy space. The game takes on a calm geometry, boundaries drawn by his reach, lanes opened by his vision. When the buzzer settles, the columns read level and balanced, as if measured with a ruler. He nods once, gathers his warm-up, and walks into a corridor where the sound is small and the air cool. Night closes gently behind him. 42. Scott Skiles. 22 PTS, 30 AST, DK 30, 1990. Orlando Magic versus Denver Nuggets. As the calendar thins, a winter game in a bright building. The season context is expansion team patience, learning routes, trusting spacing, letting the ball teach its path. His role is to trace those paths with care. The peculiarity is the count, 30 assists, each a small decision made a beat early, each a gift placed softly into a teammate's hands. He probes, retreats, and tries again until a corner loosens. He pivots at the free throw line and threads a pass to a cutter who has not yet fully turned. The points come, like punctuation, open threes, a leaner in the lane, just enough to hold the defense honest. Teammates begin to run with the quiet confidence of people who will be seen. The scoreboard rises without hurry. When it ends, the record sits at the top of its neat column. He smooths the box score with a palm, ties his shoes a little looser, and steps into the stillness that waits just past the door. 43. Vernon Maxwell, 51 PTS, 8:03 p.m., Jan. 26, 1991. Houston Rockets against a strict half-court defense on a cool January evening. The season is gathering pace, games stitched together by travel and routine. His role is to find light in small places, a quick release from the wing, a step and rise before help arrives. The peculiarity is the time and the touch. 51 points with 8 threes in a league still feeling out the long line. Shots rising in clean arcs, landing with paper-soft sounds. Drives open because defenders close too far to the stripe. Mid-range fades arrive when the lane crowds. Teammates space a little wider, then a little wider still. The game breathes with him. No rush, only repetition and balance. By the closing minutes, the number has grown large without ever feeling loud. He exhales, lowers his head, and walks to the bench as if returning a borrowed book. Outside, winter air waits quiet and thin. 44. Michael Adams, 54, PTS, 9 AST, 9:03 p.m., Mar. 23, 1991. A late winter night for Denver, the pace high but the mood unhurried. The season's shape is familiar, a guard entrusted to make choices at speed and to steady the room when it tilts. His role is light-footed and exact. Stop short of the help, lift into space, or drop a pass to the open side. The peculiarity is size and distance. 54 points from a 5'9" frame. 9 threes threaded into the evening before such totals felt routine. He arrives early to spots most players find late, pausing just long enough for the net to be ready. The assists appear in the quiet between dribbles, chests met at the perfect height. The building's sound stays even, as if the night understood it was being arranged rather than seized. When it ends, the box score looks taller than the man who wrote it, and somehow that suits the memory. He tucks his jersey, nods to a teammate, and lets the cool air of the tunnel fold around him. 45. Dikembe Mutombo, 12 PTS, 22 REB, 12 BLK, Jan. 8, 1992. Denver Nuggets in a crisp January game, the court bright as new paper. The season context is the patience of a team learning to trust a young center's timing. His role is to shorten the rim and lengthen the breadth of a possession. The peculiarity is the neat stack, 12 points, 22 rebounds, 12 blocks, each column carrying the same quiet weight. Shots rise and then reconsider. Misses drift into his hands and become simple outlets, chest high and steady. Offense stays plain, a catch, a turn, a soft finish when the defense is honest. The lane feels newly drawn, measured by his arms and angles. Teammates run straighter because the floor behind them has been put in order. When the horn dims, the stat line looks like careful handwriting. No flourish, just clarity. He lifts a hand, thanks the crowd, and the arena relaxes into silence. 46. Dennis Rodman, 39 REB, Mar. 4, 1992. Detroit in early March, a night that begins with the familiar scrape of shoes and ends with a number that feels like a throwback. The season is heavy with division games, details deciding outcomes. His role is singular. Find the miss, claim it, and give it back to his side. The peculiarity is the sheer repeat of it. 39 rebounds, angles read from the moment of release, box outs held like vows. He does not chase blocks or points. He chases the turning of possession. Teammates learn to run the instant the ball touches his fingers, as if a signal has passed through the floor. Time stretches in small ways. Jump, land, turn, and send the outlet. The scoreboard changes slowly. The work remains constant. When it is done, the box score carries one thick line, and the gym feels neatly swept. He ties his jacket at the waist and walks into the hallway where the air is quiet and plain. 47. Dennis Rodman, 0 PTS, 25 REB, Nov, 10, 1993. San Antonio in the soft middle of autumn, the season still shaping its habits. His role needs no reminder. Secure the ball and let someone else finish the sentence. The peculiarity is the absence and the abundance. No points, 25 rebounds, an evening where contribution looks like restraint. He leans, holds, and rises at the exact second the shot touches iron. The ball finds him because he has already found the angle. Outlets are swift but calm. The offense runs through others, and he nods along, content to write the game from the margins. The bench recognizes the pattern and settles into it. When the night closes, the line is sparse and generous at once. He wraps a towel over his shoulders and steps away as if the floor had been put back where it belongs. 48. Shaquille O'Neal, 24 PTS, 28 REB, 1525 FT, Nov 20, 1993. Orlando in late November, a young center with broad tasks against a crowded paint. The season context is growth in real time. New decisions asked on every touch. His role is to be immediate. Seal, catch, and finish. Then turn and gather the miss at the other end. The peculiarity is the texture. 28 rebounds wrapped around a bruising line of free throws. 15 made in 25 tries. Possessions measured in whistles and putbacks. He bends the defense inward. Teammates find air beyond it. The rebounds stack in 3s and 4s, each one a fresh start. Points arrive in close, off glass, or through arms. The evening moves methodically, like a strong tide. When the horn is quiet, the numbers feel heavy but even, a ledger of force and patience. He smiles a small smile, touches hands with a teammate, and disappears down a hall where footsteps sound slow and sure. 49. Latrell Sprewell, 46 PTS, 10 REB, 8 AST, Feb 4, 1994. Golden State at home with winter deepening, the schedule asking for focus. The season is a blend of youth and responsibility, and his role is to thread both ends of the floor. Attack with purpose, defend with detail, and keep the pass alive. The peculiarity is the balance. A near triple-double wrapped in a scorer's night, 46 points set beside glasswork and playmaking. He drives through narrow spaces and finishes before the crowd fully breathes. On the next possession, he pauses and finds a cutter, then turns to the glass and keeps the ball for his side. The game takes on a gentle cadence. Burst, settle, see, and choose. By the end, the line reads like a full sentence with commas in the right places. He exhales, ties his warm-up, and walks to an exit where the air feels calm and careful. 50. David Robinson, 34 PTS, 10 REB, 10 AST, 10 BLK, Feb 17, 1994. San Antonio Spurs in a winter home date. The court bright as a new page. The season context is a team drawing confidence from its center's quiet range. His role is to be present everywhere. Touch the post, find the cutter, challenge the shot, and start the next trip. The peculiarity is the rare square of 10s. Points, rebounds, assists, and blocks filling each corner of the night. Nothing hurries. He turns with patience, finds a shooter in the corner, and then meets a layup with an open hand. Rebounds arrive like calm assurances. Teammates settle into straighter lines because the game has edges again. When it is done, the box score looks orderly and complete, a diagram of how a night can be held together. He gives a small nod, wraps his jacket close, and steps into the tunnel. The arena's sound fades to a hush, and the winter air feels steady and still. A square of 10s draws itself, and the horn exhales. Beyond this moment, the league learns new shapes. Hand checks fade, lanes open, and big men choose between glass and grass. We'll follow craft as it adapts, old footwork carrying new burdens, old angles finding new light. 51. David Robinson, 71 points. APR 24, 1994. San Antonio at Los Angeles on the season's final afternoon, a quiet coastal light folding through the arena. The context is simple and taut. One game to decide the scoring title, the calendar down to a single page. Robinson's role is to accept the weight without hurrying, catch, face, and choose the cleanest path. Mid-range jumpers arrive with tidy arcs. Post moves bloom and close like careful knots. Free throws steady the pulse. The peculiarity is the pure size of it, 71, gathered without frenzy, each possession placed on the shelf in order. Teammates make space and return the ball to him as if they are setting a table. He thanks them with points and calm. The other team contests honestly, and still the tide rises. Time stretches to hold all the makes. When the buzzer thins to silence, the title is his, earned by patience as much as touch. He shakes a hand, gathers a towel, and steps into a hallway where the air is cool and unremarkable. A long season folds neatly. Night travels home in quiet lines. 52. Willie Burton. 53 points. Dec. 13, 1994. Philadelphia. At home in early winter, a modest crowd wrapped against the cold. The season has asked for invention, and a roll wing answers with honest work. Running the lane, cutting behind a distracted eye, setting his feet at the arc. The peculiarity is the suddenness of grace. 53 points from a player usually tasked with smaller chores. Jumpers land like paper laid flat. Drives finish before help can arrive. A corner three becomes another, then another, each one placed softly at the same height on the glass or through the center of the net. Teammates begin to look for him sooner. The ball finds his hands because the evening has decided that is where it belongs. He breathes evenly, never rushing the release. The scoreboard climbs, but the room stays gentle. When it ends, he is no different than before. Tired, grateful, quiet. Only the box score has grown tall. Outside, winter waits. Inside, sneakers whisper across wood, and the baskets are lowered back to rest. 53. John Starks. 41 points, 11 threes. Feb 27, 1995. A February night in New York, the building bright and familiar. The season is tightening toward spring, and Starks' role is clear. Chase space, square the shoulders, and let rhythm do the rest. The peculiarity sits at the stripe beyond the arc. 11 threes, early for such a number, each one a small heat lamp against the cold. He runs off screens that feel like polite nudges, turns the corner and lands in balance. The pass meets his chest. The ball rises and falls with the softest sound. The defense adjusts and adjusts again, but the angle keeps returning like a remembered path. Between makes, he slips into the lane for a lay-in or sends the extra pass to a neighbor in rhythm. The crowd's sound is a steady hum, more approval than celebration. When the last horn fades, the sheet reads like a line of stars across a clear night. He offers a nod to the rafters, ties his jacket, and the city air meets him calm and close. 54. Reggie Miller. 8 points in 9 seconds. May 7th, 1995. Madison Square Garden in spring. A series opener that feels like two hands gripping the same rope. The season has thinned to its finest threads. Small moments deciding long efforts. Miller's role is to stay ready for the tiniest door to open. The peculiarity is time itself. 8 points in 9 seconds. A hush and a gasp, pressed so close together they nearly touch. A three arrives clean, then a quick steal and another. Footwork set, shoulders quiet. Free throws fall like breath. Teammates clear instinctively, recognizing the strange clarity of the moment. The home crowd is stunned, but not unkind. It understands what rare timing looks like. When the clock empties, the swing has already turned into memory. He lowers his head, not to hide, but to return to ordinary footsteps. In the tunnel, the noise becomes a low thrum. The night grows still, and the series, newly tilted, feels cooler to the touch. 55. Hakeem Olajuwon. 48 points, 25 rebounds, 8 blocks. Jan 10, 1996. A winter evening for Houston, the court lit like careful handwriting. The season asks its champion center to be both anchor and invitation. His role is the old craft done well. Footwork measured in half steps. Turns that open to daylight, a release that floats and decides at the last moment. The peculiarity is the breadth of it. Nearly 50 points beside 25 rebounds and a quiet forest of blocks. Misses fall into his hands as if they are returning home. On offense, he chooses with patience. A bank off the square, a soft hook, a spin that appears and disappears. Teammates relax into their lines. Everything around him is easier because he has placed the furniture just so. The page fills without smudge. When it is done, the numbers look heavy and deliberate, like stones balanced on a low wall. He nods to the bench, exhales, and the building settles back into ordinary light. 56. Mookie Blaylock. 14 points, 11 steals. APAR 14, 1998. Atlanta in April, the regular season's last rooms opening onto playoffs. The context is tune-up. The edges of effort sanded smooth. Blaylock's role is to listen for passes before they exist. The peculiarity is in the hands. 11 steals in a late 90s game, each one a gentle interruption, a sentence revised mid-syllable. He slides into driving lanes and quietly removes the ball, then starts a measured break that ends with an easy finish for someone else. 14 points arrive where the defense allows. The night is built on what does not happen. Passes denied, angles closed, plans remade. Teammates look over their shoulders less. The floor behind them feels tidy. By the buzzer, the stat line is thin on scoring and thick with possession changes. A reminder that some work is best when it leaves only the faintest fingerprints. He lifts a hand in thanks. The arena gathers its breath and grows still. 57. Jason Kidd. 11 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists. Feb 22, 2000. A late winter road stop for Phoenix. The air dry and clean. The season is stitching itself together for the stretch, and Kidd's role is to make the court feel connected. Defense to outlet, outlet to rhythm, rhythm to the right shot. The peculiarity is at the glass. 16 rebounds from a guard, the ball landing in his care as naturally as a pass. He starts possessions with a look-ahead flick, sees a wing at full stride, and drops the ball exactly where the run will end. The points are modest, each one like a small hinge holding the rest in place. The triple-double arrives without ceremony, a circle closed by simple choices. Teammates move with the assurance that someone is keeping time. When it is over, the box score reads clear and spare. No flourish, only balance. He ties, his shoes more loosely, and walks into a hallway that smells faintly of dust and travel. The night feels well arranged. 58. Shaquille O'Neal. 61 points, 23 rebounds. Mar 6, 2000. Los Angeles in early March. Lights bright, sound warm. The calendar marks a birthday, but the season's shape remains the same. A contender relying on a center who fills the lane like a tide. His role is immediate. Seal, catch, finish, and then turn to reclaim the miss at the other end. The peculiarity is the pairing. 61 points beside 23 rebounds, a line that seems carved from older stone. Free throws punctuate, putbacks stack, and the glass belongs to him in clusters. Teammates orbit at comfortable distances, catching rhythm off his gravity. The evening advances with the slow certainty of waves. When the number reaches its height, nothing feels forced, only placed. The horn fades, the building loosens its shoulders, and he smiles a small private smile. In the tunnel, footsteps sound steady and hollow. The day concludes with the ease of a page turned. 59. Tony Delk. 53 points. Jan 2, 2001. A winter road game that begins without fuss and grows into something delicate. The season has him in a scorer's chair for a night, asked to take the shots the defense yields. The peculiarity is how many arrive and how gently they land. 53 points from a guard known more for sparks than bonfires. Mid-range pull-ups appear at the same spots. Jumpers from the wing repeat their quiet answers, and the rim seems to lean welcomingly. Teammates find him because the pattern is clear. He rewards them by keeping his steps small and his release simple. The game breathes at a measured rate. Time stretches just enough to hold everything. When it ends, he's careful with the moment. No flourish, only gratitude and a slower tie of the laces. The locker room hums low. Outside, the air is cold and still. 60. Ben Wallace. 4 points, 28 rebounds, 9 blocks. Mar 20, 2001. Detroit in early spring. The court neat, the intentions plain. The season's instruction is familiar. Defend first and let order carry you. Wallace's role is to be the quiet engine of that order. The peculiarity is the distribution. Almost no scoring, yet the game feels held in 2 hands. 28 rebounds and 9 blocks arranging the floor to his liking. He reads the Quran before it exists, places a shoulder where it will matter, and lifts to meet the ball without strain. Shots are trimmed at the rim, jumps redirected into harmless arcs. The offense asks little of him, and he asks little of it. Just the chance to end the next possession cleanly. Teammates run straighter lines because he has already tidied the corners. When night settles, the stat line looks spare and abundant at once. He draws his warm-up close and steps into the corridor, where the sound is faint and the air cool. Another quiet victory for gravity and care. The room goes still around a worker of wood and iron, rebounds stacked like bricks. Ahead lie seasons of experimentation, threes tested at the edges, rolls trimmed and tailored. We'll turn the page to small guards who reach tall columns, to centers who pass like guards, to quiet nights that hold surprising weight. 61. Tracy McGrady, 62 points. Mar, 10, 2004. Orlando at home on a midweek night, the league's tempo slow and careful. The season asks for patience, possessions drawn long and tidy, yet his role is to find air where there seems to be none. Rise from the elbow, glide to the rim. Let the release linger a breath past expectation. The peculiarity is the size of the number inside such a tempo. 62 points gathered without haste. Jumpers arrive in quiet pairs. Free throws keep the beat. Drives finish before help quite organizes itself. Teammates widen the floor because they can feel the evening leaning his way. The scoreboard grows heavy, but the room stays calm. By the last minutes, the work feels orderly rather than loud. Each make laid gently beside the last. He towels off, loosens laces, and steps into a corridor where the arena's murmur fades to a hush. The city outside exhales, and the night folds neatly shut. 62. Jermaine O'Neal. 55 points. Jan 4, 2005. Indiana hosts in deep winter, the hand-check world still firm along the arc. The season demands strength with craft, and his role is to anchor the paint with measured steps. Catch, square, and choose the soft path to glass. The peculiarity is a big man crossing 50 in a league that leans on him with every touch. Mid-post fades bloom and settle. Short hooks return with kind angles. Free throws keep time. The ball comes back to him as though it belongs there, and teammates orbit in steady lanes. The number climbs in even steps until the horn falls like a gentle curtain. He nods to the bench, draws a jacket close, and disappears into a hallway that smells faintly of wood and quiet work. Outside, the air is cold and plain. Inside, the floor lies still and satisfied. 63. Kobe Bryant. 62 points in 3 quarters. Deci 20, 2005. Los Angeles against Dallas. 3 quarters that feel complete on their own. The season shapes a contender's voice. His role is to hold the room steady, possession by possession. The peculiarity is balance and brevity. 62 in 36 minutes, more than the opponent's total through 3. Pull-ups are placed rather than thrown. Drives unfurl to full stretch. The touch off glass is unhurried. The bench smiles in small private ways as the pattern repeats. When the third ends, he sits, breath quiet, and the score rests where it is. The building loosens its shoulders. A record of sorts is written with a light pen, then closed without flourish. The floor is swept. The lights dim. Evening slips softly toward the exits. 64. Steve Nash. 28 points, 22 assists. Jan, 2, 2006. Phoenix on a clear night. The season deep enough that routes are known by heart. His role is a lantern at the point. See the lane a beat early. Deliver the ball to where the run will end. The peculiarity is the blend. 28 points folded into 22 assists. Each dime a gentle correction to spacing. He probes and withdraws, then threads a pass. When defenders sit back, he lifts a calm jumper that barely touches rim. Teammates move with easy faith. Corners filled, lanes straight. Possessions feel shorter and cleaner, as if time itself had been tidied. At the finish, the line reads like neat handwriting, points to keep defenses honest, passes to keep the game breathing. He thanks the scorer with a nod and steps into still air that cools the skin and quiets the mind. 65. Andrei Kirilenko. 14 PTS, 8 REB, 9 AST, 7 BLK, 6 steals. Jan 3, 2006. Utah in winter, a game drawn in thin lines. The season is a cloth of small choices. Defense woven to offense, help arriving on time. His role is to be present in every column. Guard, forward, helper, hinge. The peculiarity is a 5x5 plus shape, a variety of small precisions rather than any single flourish. He erases a drive with a fingertip, then slips a pass to a cutter who didn't know he was open. A corner three appears because he has already closed the opposite wing. Rebounds and steals arrive as if predicted, blocks as polite redirections. By the end, the box score looks like a light map with every road quietly marked. He pulls a warm-up to his chin and walks into gray air that feels orderly and calm. 66. Kobe Bryant, 81 points. Jan, 22, 2006. A winter Sunday in Los Angeles, light falling gently on polished wood. The season asks him to carry, and he does so without hurry. The peculiarity is the height of it. 81 points, second most ever. Built one careful choice at a time. Mid-range becomes glass. Long twos stretch to threes when space allows. Free throws count like beads between plays. Teammates settle into corners and trust the angles to resolve. The noise hums rather than surges. The work feels inevitable. When it ends, he lifts his jersey to his face and breathes, as if cooling a forge. The arena's sound thins to a soft, even tone. A tall number sits alone, and the night closes around it like a book. 67. Michael Redd, 57 points. Nov, 11, 2006. Milwaukee in autumn, the air outside newly sharp. The season's pace is even, and his role is a steady flame. Come off a pin down, square, trust the wrist. The peculiarity is a mid-range craftsman pushing to 57. Jumpers stitched together until the pattern becomes the game itself. One dribble for rhythm, a second to clear, then the same release at the same height. The ball answers politely. Teammates find him sooner. The defense crowds, and still the line repeats. In final minutes, he seems unchanged, calm, aligned, grateful. The scoreboard slows to stillness. Coats are found on chairbacks. The doors open to quiet streets, and the night feels carefully folded. 68. Yao Ming. 38 points, 18 rebounds. Deck 16, 2006. Houston under clear lights, a true center at the center of things. The season leans into his patience. His role is a high-skill post. Catch at the nail, see the floor, choose the softest angle. The peculiarity is the pairing, 38 beside 18, weight written in polished script. Turnarounds fall with gentle backspin. Putbacks arrive like second thoughts made good. When help comes late, he takes the bank. When it comes early, he finds the cutter. The crowd settles into the rhythm, exhaling with each clean touch. When the horn eases away, the night feels warm and orderly. He bows his head slightly and steps into a tunnel where voices are low and kind. 69. Gilbert Arenas. 60 points. OT. 8 rebounds. 8 assists. Dec 17, 2006. Washington in Winter, a game that begins with common shapes and ends with a tall, round number. The season asks for daring. His role answers with control. Pull up when the lane crowds, drive when the defense leans, share when the angle is truer elsewhere. The peculiarity is a 60 wrapped in overtime, held together by the quiet of the pass and the pause at the line. He walks into shots as if greeting an old friend, then turns and threads a helper into stride. The scoreboard climbs in steady increments. Nothing blares. When the last basket settles, he exhales and the building's sound folds flat. People rise, collect their coats, and the night resumes as if it had only waited in the doorway. 70. Marcus Camby, 8 PTS, 20 REB, 10 BLK. Dec 26, 2007. Denver in the hush between holidays, a court that echoes lightly. The season's message is familiar. Protect the rim, reset the floor. His role is to prune possessions, a hand here, a step there, angles closing like shutters. The peculiarity is the distribution, a triple-double that leaves scoring to others. 8 points, 20 rebounds, 10 blocks. He lifts without strain and guides the ball back to Wood. Then he gathers the miss and gives it to guards with chest-high certainty. Teammates run straighter lanes because the floor behind them feels tidy. At the end, the stat line reads like restraint practiced well. He slips into a jacket, nods once to the rafters, and the building settles into gentle quiet, the court left neat and bare. A rookie spark, a 30-30 symmetry, a debut written in bright pencil. The present leans in. Now the arc lengthens and the court widens. The ball moves faster but lands just as softly. We'll step into a run of evenings where efficiency hums, where one quarter can bend time, and where defense leaves fingerprints you almost can't see. 71. Brandon Jennings, 55 points. Nov, 14, 2009. Milwaukee hosting Golden State on a cool November night, a rookie's 7th game tucked into the long road of a season just beginning to breathe. The Bucks are still learning their patterns, and his role is simple and daring. Take what the defense leaves and arrive a heartbeat sooner than it expects. The peculiarity is the size and shape of it. 55 points this early, a line that belongs to veteran memory rather than a new arrival. Catch-and-shoot threes fall with paper-soft sounds. Hesitations open small doors in the lane. A floater settles, then another, then a pull-up before the help can gather itself. Teammates widen the floor and keep finding him because the evening has decided he should be found. The scoreboard grows tall without anyone rushing. When the horn turns to hush, the number sits calm against his name. He exhales, pulls on a jacket, and walks a quiet hallway where the season feels long and kind. The night folds itself and waits. 72. Kevin Love, 31 points, 31 rebounds. Nov and 12, 2010. Minnesota against New York in early winter. The sky already dim as the game begins. The season context is steady work. Habits formed in practice, repeated under lights. His role is to collect the miss and give the ball back with patience, then take what the defense forgets. An open three, a putback, a short bank. The peculiarity is the symmetry, 31 beside 31, the first 30-30 in decades, carried with the quiet certainty of good positioning. He wedges space with a practiced hip, times his rise to the ball's second breath, and turns rebounds into calm outlets. Points stack in even steps. No hurry, no waste. Teammates run because he makes the floor feel longer and safer. By the end, the stat sheet looks balanced and pale, like winter light on snow. He nods once, ties his laces looser, and steps into air that smells of cold and clean wood. The arena dims. The night holds still. 73. Michael Carter-Williams, 22 points, 12 assists, 9 steals. Debut, OCT 30, 2013. Philadelphia at home on opening night, a young roster listening for an early heartbeat. The season is new paper. His role in the moment is to write clearly, run the team, touch the paint, make the next pass on time. The peculiarity is the near shape of it all on the first try. 22 points, a dozen assists, and 9 steals taken from soft places in the dribble. He reads passing lanes like margins and collects turnovers with quiet hands. The jumper appears when the defense sits back, then disappears into drives when it steps forward. Teammates relax as the ball arrives where it should. The floor spreads like a map. When the game closes, the box score feels taller than the date beside it. He folds his warm-up under one arm and walks down a tunnel where echoes are new and friendly. The season begins with a steadying breath, and the building returns to quiet. 74. Joakim Noah, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 14 assists. Mar 2, 2014. Chicago in late winter, a Sunday brightness over the floor. The season context is careful work. Defend, share, trust the next action. His role is the hinge. Catch at the elbow, listen for a cutter's footfall, and pass into space with both hands ready. The peculiarity is the count from the center spot. 14 assists alongside twin. 13s. A night in which the ball leaves his hands again and again to find someone else's calm. Rebounds are gathered like small promises. Putbacks arrive without announcement. Teammates move as if guided by a softer metronome. The game settles into a patient shape. Screen, slip, touch, finish. When it ends, the page looks tidy, the lines even. He taps the scorer's table and heads toward a hallway that smells faintly of tape and winter. The gym exhales. The lights grow warm. The night rests easy. 75. Corey Brewer, 51 points. APR 11, 2014. Minnesota at home as the season's calendar thins, a role player set into familiar chores. The context is effort and repetition, but his role tonight widens. Run the lane, steal a pass, cut behind a distracted eye. The peculiarity is the surge, 51 from a player more often asked to do the small things. Layups appear in the open floor, corners give up threes, and free throws keep the rhythm. Teammates keep finding him because he keeps arriving where space opens. The number grows in quiet increments, never shouted, always placed. When the last minute's empty, he is the same, shoulders low, breath even. Only the column beside his name has grown unusually tall. He nods toward the stands, gathers his towel, and walks into a hallway where the arena's sound becomes a low, friendly hum. The night is gentle. The season moves on in soft steps. 76. Roy Hibbert, 0 points, 0 rebounds, playoff, APR 28, 2014. Indiana in a tense spring series, the court bright and the air thin with focus. The season context is urgent. Every possession weighed, every rotation examined. His role is to hold the center, to make the rim feel farther away, to catch and keep. The peculiarity is the absence. No points, no rebounds for a 7'2" starter, an odd line that sits in the box score like a blank space. Screens are set, lanes are shaded, timing is offered, yet the ball does not stop to count it. Teammates and coaches keep their shapes. The series keeps its stern face. The horn sounds, and the numbers remain spare. He drapes a towel over his shoulders and disappears into a quiet room that asks for patience. Some nights speak softly and almost not at all. The work continues, measured in details that do not always show. 77. Klay Thompson, 37 points in third quarter. Jan 23, 2015. Golden State at home, the third quarter beginning like any other. The season context is brisk and joyful, teammates moving as if tugged by strings that never tangle. His role is to find the corner of a possession and set it straight, catch square, rise clean, land soft. The peculiarity is time bending. 37 points in one quarter, a series of identical motions stacked end to end. Screens arrive exactly where they should. The ball meets his chest at the same height. The release is a metronome. The net obliges. Teammates smile in small ways and keep feeding the rhythm until the horn restores the ordinary. When it's over, he breathes through a grin, sits, and watches the room level out. The crowd lingers, the floor crews wait. A brief bright flame, then quiet again. 78. Hassan Whiteside, 14 points, 13 rebounds, 12 blocks, Jan 25, 2015. Miami on a clear afternoon, the season finding shape around new roles. His task is plain and tall: lift, redirect, recover, and keep the paint cool. The peculiarity is the triple-double built on defense. 12 blocks that feel like polite refusals, each followed by a calm rebound or an easy outlet. Points arrive in soft touches, dunks placed rather than slammed, a putback turned into a second-chance exhale. Teammates space wider because the floor behind them is clean. The pace slows to something measured. When the day folds shut, the stat line looks spare and strong at once. He nods once to the bench, tucks a towel beneath his chin, and walks into soft light. The arena returns to its usual hush. 79. Anthony Davis, 59 points, 20 rebounds, Feb 21, 2016. Detroit in late winter, a bright court and careful crowd. The season context is steady climb, a young star gathering more of the floor each month. His role is to arrive where angles are thin and make space with touch. Turnarounds kissed from mid-post, drives extended to glass, free throws counted like quiet beads. The peculiarity is breadth, 59 placed beside 20, the line of a mobile big in full stride. Misses drift into his hands. Outlets are offered without hurry. Teammates loosen their shoulders because the next good shot feels close by. The scoreboard climbs evenly. Nothing feels rushed. By the end, the number looks tall but tidy, like a tower built brick by brick. He exhales, pulls on a jacket, and the tunnel air cools his face. The building settles. The night is kind. 80. Tim Frazier, 29 points, 11 assists, 13 of 17 FG, APR 10, 2016. New Orleans at home as the season thins to its last pages, a two-way guard given the ball and the trust that comes with it. The context is simple. Finish well, keep the game honest. His role is to steer, probe, retreat, and return with a cleaner line. The peculiarity is efficiency singing out loud, 29 on 13 of 17, with 11 assists placed exactly at the chest. He steps into mid-range air and leaves it smooth. He finds a runner astride early so the layup feels inevitable. Teammates lift their eyes sooner. The floor feels mapped. The horn arrives and the sheet is neat. Points where needed, passes arranged in rows, misses few and forgotten. He thanks a coach, ties his bag closed, and walks a short hallway toward air that smells of spring rain. The lights dim and the court rests. Records fall and reform like gentle waves. Threes pile in tidy rows, and balance holds the room steady. The next stretch carries tributes and symmetry. 20-20-20 lines, paint reclaimed, calm amid pace. Let's follow the breath of the modern game as it learns to be both wide and precise. 81 Tabitha Stephen. Curry, 46 PTS, 13, 3 p.m. Nav, 7, 2016. Golden State Warriors versus New Orleans Pelicans on an early November night, one game removed from a 0 for 10 evening from deep. The season context is a team settling into new shapes, the rhythm of spacing and cuts returning like a familiar song. His role is to keep time, relocate, catch and balance, and let the ball leave without strain. The peculiarity is how the answer arrives. 13 threes, a record at the time, each one a small correction to the memory of the last game. Screens arrive on the right angle. The pass meets his chest. The release is the same quiet flick. Inside the arc, he chooses when needed. But the night belongs to distance and repetition. Teammates spread the floor and watch the geometry resolve. The scoreboard climbs in steady lines. When it closes, the room is gentle rather than loud, as if the net had whispered all evening. He pulls on a warm-up, nods toward the bench, and disappears into a cool tunnel, the sound of the crowd thinning to a hum. 82. Klay Thompson, 60 PTS in 29 Mayen, Dec 5, 2016. Golden State Warriors versus Indiana Pacers. Early winter at home, the building bright and unhurried. The season asks for movement without clutter. His role is the clean end to every simple action. The peculiarity is economy. 60 points in 29 minutes, with so little dribbling that the game itself seems to carry him from spot to spot. He turns a corner, squares, and lifts. The ball lands with the soft sound of paper. Another screen, another catch, the same balance. Teammates keep the lane open and the passes simple. There is no chase, only arrangement. When he sits before the fourth, the number stays where it is, tall and perfectly placed. He smiles in a small way, wraps a towel across his shoulders, and watches the floor even out again. The noise settles into warmth, and the night feels carefully folded. 83. Draymond Green. 4 PTS, 12 REB, 10 AST, 10 steals, 5 BLK. Feb 10, 2017. Golden State Warriors versus Memphis Grizzlies, a February game drawn in tidy lines. The season context is a veteran group trusting that details decide the day. His role is to hold those details in both hands. Help early, talk through screens, make the next pass before the clock feels it. The peculiarity is absence and abundance at once. A triple-double without points, with steals and blocks filling the frame where scoring often stands. He redirects a drive without touching the ball, then touches the next one away. A cutter appears and is met by a pass that arrives at chest height, on time. Rebounds begin breaks. Breaks end with someone else's layup. By the horn, the box score looks like a diagram of control. 4 points, yet everywhere present. He taps the scorer's table, ties his jacket, and steps into a hallway where the arena's sound becomes a low, steady hush. 84. Tony Snell. 28 MIN 00000. Feb 24, 2017. Milwaukee Bucks, in late winter, a game that breathes evenly from possession to possession. The season context is quiet work. Spacing correct, rotations honest, roles understood. His role tonight is spacing itself. Stand where gravity asks, slide along the arc, shade a driver's lane, and let others speak. The peculiarity is the line, a starter's 28 minutes with zeros across the page. Not neglect, only absence, the kind that sometimes appears when a game flows away from the corners. Screens are set, closeouts are made. The ball never quite comes to rest in his hands. Teammates carry the counting. He carries the shape. When the horn arrives, the column beside his name is spare and still. He tucks his jersey, offers a quick nod to a coach, and walks into the cool behind the curtain. Some nights leave no marks, and yet feel perfectly in place. 85. Devin Booker. 70 PTS. Mar 24, 2017. Phoenix Suns at Boston Celtics. A spring night in a storied building. The season context is a young roster searching for pace and poise. His role is to find space where the defense is tightest and make the ball leave softly. The peculiarity is the roundness of the number, 70 at age 20. Built from mid-range steps, drives finished at full reach, and free throws counted like beads. Teammates set their screens a little deeper and find him a beat sooner as the rhythm takes hold. The defense adjusts in honest ways, and still the line keeps rising. There is no hurry in his steps, only repetition and breath. By the end, the sound of the arena is even and low, respectful of a night arranged in careful pieces. He ties his warm-up, lowers his head, and the long hallway feels steady beneath his feet. The number lingers like a pencil mark on an old doorframe. 86. DeMarcus Cousins. 44 PTS, 24 REB, 10 AST, Jan 22, 2018. New Orleans Pelicans versus Chicago Bulls. A long winter night stretching into extra minutes. The season context is a team learning to play through a wide post and an easy pass. His role is to carry weight gently, catch at the elbow, see the cutter, turn to glass, and keep the rebound close. The peculiarity is the span of it. 44 with 24 boards and 10 assists, a 40-20-10 line that feels carved from sturdier eras. He gathers misses in pairs and threes, then starts the floor with a shoulder-high outlet. The jumper appears when help sits in the paint, and a corner three is made to breathe. Overtime folds in without a jolt. The work remains measured. When it is done, the numbers look heavy and calm, a ledger balanced to the last mark. He lifts a hand to teammates, wraps a towel, and lets the tunnel take the noise away. 87. Andre Drummond, 30 REB, Jan 24, 2018. Detroit Pistons in late January, a modern floor stretched wide, the paint left spare. The season context is pace and space, yet the glass remains the same. His role is to listen to the ball's second breath and meet it there. The peculiarity is the count, 30 rebounds in an era that scatters shots beyond the arc. He wedges, position early, turns a hip, and rises without strain. The miss falls into steady hands. An outlet begins quietly. The game restarts. Teammates look up court the instant they hear the catch. The scoreboard inches forward on a night built from retrievals. By the horn, the line is a tall column, singular and neat. He pulls on a hoodie, nods once, and the corridor air cools his face. The court lies tidy behind him. 88. Klay Thompson, 52 PTS, 14 3 p.m., 27 Imian, OCT 29, 2018. Golden State Warriors at Chicago Bulls, an autumn game that opens like a window. The season context is a familiar machine, running light. His role is the endpoint again. Arrive at the pocket, catch, and finish without extra steps. The peculiarity is the count beyond the arc. 14 threes in 27 minutes, the record set within 3 quarters. Screens land exactly. The pass is true. The release is repeatable. He backpedals softly, already turning toward the other end. Teammates keep feeding the same line until the shape of the evening is complete. When he sits, the number stays where it is, tall and almost shy. The bench is warm and easy. The crowd sound rounds off at the edges. The moment closes like a gentle door. 89. Russell Westbrook, 20 PTS, 20 REB, 21 AST. IPR2, 2019. Oklahoma City Thunder versus Los Angeles Lakers. A spring night with a quiet weight to it. The season context is familiar. Pace high, responsibilities higher. His role is to touch every part of the floor, start the break, finish the scramble, and keep the possession alive. The peculiarity is symmetry in heavy strokes. 20 points, 20 rebounds, 21 assists. Work spread evenly across the night. He flies to the glass and lands with purpose, turns, and sends the ball forward at once. A cutter is found, a shooter is seen, a lane opens because he has opened it. Teammates move with trust. The game breathes in longer lines. At the end, the numbers sit together like 3 quiet stones. He looks up, touches his chest, and lets the noise pass by. The arena dims to a low murmur. The tribute is felt more than said. 90. Enes Kanter, 24 PTS, 30 REB, APR 10, 2021. Portland Trailblazers versus Detroit Pistons. Late season with schedules compressed and legs a little heavy. The context is simple. Keep order at the rim and take what the defense offers in close. His role is to be a patient anchor, seal early, finish surely, and gather every miss he can reach. The peculiarity is the total on the glass, 30 rebounds in the spacing era, collected with angles, boxes held, and hands that do not hurry. Putbacks become their own rhythm. Short hooks arrive like quiet answers. The ball returns to guards with chest-high certainty. Teammates run cleaner routes because the floor feels safe behind them. When the horn settles into silence, the line reads spare and strong. He thanks a teammate with a small smile, drapes a towel at his neck, and walks into a corridor where the air is cool and ordinary. The night holds steady, and the court goes still. 30 boards in the spacing era, and the glass finally rests. Ahead, the calendar turns recent. Young hands guiding old rhythms. Franchises finding new peaks without raising their voice. We'll move into nights where restraint is a feature, where 50 arrives without a free throw, and where length redraws the court in quiet strokes. 91. Josh Giddey, 17 PTS, 13 REB, 14 AST, Jan 2, 2022. Oklahoma City under bright lights with the season still learning his pace. The matchup is simple. A young Thunder group at home against a veteran opponent, the court a quiet classroom. The context is early discovery, roles penciled in, erasers near at hand. His role is to connect small pieces, enter the lane without force, lift his eyes, and let the pass choose its path. The peculiarity is age meeting completeness. 17 points, 13 rebounds, 14 assists, the youngest triple-double, arranged like neat handwriting. He rebounds because the ball drifts toward calm. He passes because cutters appear exactly when he expects them. He scores because the defense leaves a soft window at the elbow. Teammates begin to run wider arcs, certain the ball will arrive in stride. The scoreboard grows without rush. When the horn turns to hush, the line sits beside his name like a first note in a longer song. He pulls a sweatshirt over his shoulders, nods to a coach, and the tunnel air cools his face. The night folds quietly, as if the building were proud, but careful not to wake anyone. 92. Saddiq Bey, 51 PTS, Mar 17, 2022. Detroit on the road with late-season air in the lungs. The matchup feels ordinary, but the evening chooses otherwise. The season context is patience. Sets run through, shots shared, spacing honest. His role is to keep corners honest, to arrive in the lane when the defense forgets to check the mirror. The peculiarity is the surge, 51 points from a roll shooter, gathered from clean catch-and-shoot threes, simple drives, and free throws that keep the breath even. Teammates notice early and then trust it. Screens come a step deeper. The extra pass arrives half a beat sooner. He never hurries the release. Shoulders square, wrists soft, landing balanced. By closing time, the box score has grown tall, but the room has stayed calm. He lowers his head as if to thank the moment, ties a knot in his warm-up, and walks into a hallway where the noise is a level hum. The bus will feel still tonight. The city outside will be gentle. 93. Joel Embiid, 59 PTS, 11 REB, 7 BLK, 8 AST, NOV, 13, 22-22. Philadelphia at home with the calendar not yet heavy but the game's already serious. The matchup brings a steady opponent. The season context asks the center to be both shelter and storm. His role is to read the floor from the nail and the low block, catch, settle, and choose. The peculiarity is how much fits. 59 points with rebounds, blocks, and assists braided through, 11 on the glass, 7 denials at the rim, 8 passes to open hands. Jumpers fall with soft backspin. Drives end at glass with quiet certainty. The free throw line keeps time. On defense, steps arrive early, hands close windows, and the lane cools. Teammates relax into neat spacing because the possession feels held. The scoreboard climbs in even measures. By the end, the line looks like a carefully lit portrait. Weight and detail in equal parts. He exhales, wraps a towel once around his shoulders, and the building settles to a low murmur. The door to the night opens on still air. 94. Nikola Jokić, 40 PTS, 27 REB, 10 AST, Dec, 18, 2022. Denver's floor a calm canvas under thin winter light. The matchup is a tug, steady and honest. The season context is a group accustomed to being arranged by a center's patience. His role is the hinge at the free throw line. Ball in 2 hands, eyes at every height, the next angle already chosen. The peculiarity is breadth written in 3 strokes, 40 points, 27 rebounds, 10 assists. He gathers misses the way a gardener gathers fallen fruit, then flips the outlet like a note passed in class. His scoring is a conversation with the rim, a push shot here, a soft bank there, a slow spin that opens daylight. Teammates run with trust. Cutters drift into open pockets. Shooters find rhythm because the ball arrives on time. The night has no sharp edges. When the horn rests, the numbers feel large and very tidy, like stones set carefully into a short wall. He nods once, lifts his warm-up, and walks into the tunnels cool. The mountain air beyond the doors is quiet. 95. Luka Dončić, 60 PTS, 21 REB, 10 AST, DC 27, 2022. Dallas at home with the holidays humming softly outside. The matchup asks for composure. The season context is a team that breathes at his pace. His role is to gather the game, to slow it to a tempo where choices are clear. The peculiarity is a first of its kind: 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists, a 60-20 triple-double arranged without panic. He floats to the elbow, leans to the glass, and counts out the steps to a small window. Rebounds arrive because he tracks the arc. Passes appear because he sees a moment before others do. Teammates keep lanes honest and hands ready. The scoreboard swells, but the faces stay calm. In the end, he smiles at the line as if it were a private note, tugs at his jersey, and sits very still for a moment. The crowd breathes out. The court cools. The night returns to ordinary size. 96. Donovan Mitchell. 71 PTS, 11 AST, Jan 2, 2023. Home floor glowing through winter. The matchup is tight, the series of possessions long and careful. The season context asks a new lead guard to fold himself into a city's rhythm. His role is to carry and to share. Shoulders squared to the rim, but eyes always moving. The peculiarity is scope and shape. 71 points with 11 assists. A high hill climbed with company. Threes arrive off gentle footwork. Drives stretch to glass. The line continues at the stripe. Between makes, he slips passes to corners and cutters, letting others feel the night's warmth. The numbers grow together, tidy and even, and the room stays level. When it is finished, he seems smaller than the line, as if the moment had stood taller than any one person. A towel crosses his shoulders. A quiet nod passes to a teammate. Outside, the air is crisp and still. Inside, the nets rest. 97. Damian Lillard. 71 PTS, 13:03 p.m., Feb 26, 2023. Portland under evening lights, the scoreboard a patient clock. The matchup offers no shortcuts. The season context asks for poise. His role is to steer. Walk into pull-up threes when the defense backpedals. Slice to the rim when it leans. The peculiarity is the roundness of it. 71 points with 13 threes. Distance used like a tuning fork. He rises from the logo without strain, then burrows into space when the line is crowded. Free throws thread the possessions together. Teammates feel the pattern and keep it simple. Set, slip, swing. The sound of the building is warm but never jagged. When the last make has landed and the night has decided, he exhales and lets the noise roll past him. The locker room will be quiet in the best way. Towels, tape, laughter under breath. The city outside will shine softly. 98. Giannis Antetokounmpo. 64 PTS, 14 REB, Dec 13, 2023. Milwaukee's court bright as a clean page. The matchup is sturdy. The season context is a roster that trusts the rim to him. His role is to press the paint like a thumbprint, gather on the catch, take long strides, and finish softly at high angles. The peculiarity is a franchise record written from close range. 64 points and 14 rebounds, paint touches arranged into a calm avalanche. The ball finds him at the dotted line. A Euro step turns into a lay-in. A miss becomes a second chance finish. The free throw line breaks the night into even breaths. Teammates space wide and lift the corners. By closing time, the number looks tall, but not loud, weight held steadily in two hands. He smiles, brief and quiet, and pulls on a warm-up. The crowd's sound lowers to a purr. The evening sits back in its chair. 99. Draymond Green. 15 AST, 0 PTS, 7 REB, Dec 27, 2023. Golden State at home, a game drawn with thin pencils. The matchup is a study in spacing. The season context is a team that lets details steer the night. His role is to speak in small ways, angle a screen, direct a cut, end a possession with two hands and one look ahead. The peculiarity is the line itself. 15 assists, 7 rebounds, no points. Control measured in what others do. He moves the ball as if it were heat in a room, from the crowded corner to the open window. Shooters find rhythm because he finds them early. Cutters turn small openings into soft lay-ins. The scoreboard grows by the work of friends. When the horn settles, he has not scored, And yet the shape of the evening is his. Quiet, precise, complete. He taps the scorer's table, lifts his hood, and the tunnel collects him with a steady hush. 100, Jalen Brunson. 50 PTS, 9:03 p.m., 0 FTA. Jan 1, 2024. New York bright and reflective. The matchup is patient. The season context is a backcourt finding its late-game voice. His role is to arrive at the elbow in balance and let the ball leave without question. The peculiarity is restraint inside abundance. 50 points with 9 threes and no free throw attempts. A night written in motion and touch. He snakes into mid-range air, hangs an extra heartbeat, and sets the jumper softly on the rim. From the arc, feet are neat, shoulders level, release unhurried. Teammates understand and clear small paths. The defense contests on time, and still the answer is the same. At the end, the sheet looks precise. No trips to the line, nothing wasted, everything placed. He draws in a breath, as if to keep the warmth a moment longer. The building hums. The year starts with tidy lines. A new year opens with clean lines and careful touch. The air grows contemporary. Stars carry with patience. Defenses swipe in silence, and rookies touch every column as if the page were larger. Let's drift into the latest chapters, where records feel near at hand, and the game, somehow, is both familiar and newly made. 101, Karl Anthony Towns. 62 PTS, Jan 22, 2024. Minnesota on the road with winter heavy in the sky. The matchup is close. The season context is a team testing the edges of its offense. His role is to stretch the floor and then walk back into the paint. Threes opened by footwork, drives finished at glass, post touches chosen with care. The peculiarity is the height of the number, 62, stacked calmly, and, in the end, set inside a loss. Shots land with the same sound regardless. Effort is the same shape either way. He keeps choosing well, keeps placing the ball on the right side of the rim. Teammates keep faith and keep the floor clean. When the buzzer arrives, the line stands tall while the scoreboard tilts elsewhere. He breathes, tugs at his jersey, and the night remains gentle. Some strong work belongs to memory rather than the column that counts. 102. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 37 PTS, 7 steals. Jan 31, 2024. Oklahoma City under cool light. The matchup asks for constant decisions. The season context is a star carrying and calming at once. His role is to knit the lane to the line, long steps into tight spaces, pauses that split defenders, jumpers released as if exhaled. The peculiarity is the theft tucked into usage. 37 points with 7 steals, interruption braided into scoring. He turns a reach into a runout, then a runout into a simple pass and a lay-in for someone trailing. On the next trip, he glides to the dotted line and lifts the same soft shot. Teammates feel the steadiness and run straight, sure they will be seen. By the end, the game looks ordered and precise, the stat sheet a record of small correct choices. He pulls on a jacket, says a quiet word to a coach, and the hallway echoes once, then rests. 103, Victor Wembanyama. 27 PTS, 14 REB, 10 BLK, 5 AST, 5 steals. Feb 23, 2024. San Antonio on a clear night with a rookie stride becoming familiar. The matchup is ordinary on paper and a little taller in person. The season context asks for patient growth. His role is to touch every part of the floor without hurrying. The peculiarity is rare and tidy. 27 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 10 blocks. A 5-5 with a blocks triple-double, arranged as if the court had been drawn larger. He meets jumpers at their peak without a stumble. He turns deflections into open floor calm. He scores with a high, soft touch that seems to bring the ball down from a quiet place. Teammates lift their eyes earlier and earlier. The night breathes in long lines. When it ends, he looks briefly toward the ceiling, then lowers his gaze as if placing the moment on a shelf. The arena exhales. The lights ease. The evening closes its book with care. And as that giant promise steps off the floor, and the building exhales. We return to the quiet truth beneath every wild box score. When the floor quiets and the numbers settle, we're left with simple truths. Effort collected in small pieces, chance and skill sharing the same breath, and box scores that look strange only because they remind us how thin the line is between ordinary and unbelievable. If this calm walk through basketball's oddest nights felt good, subscribe, like, and come back. There are more quiet legends waiting in the numbers.